Okay, party people, number 2, December 4th. Okay, so we're in 2nd Chronicles, chapter 31. So if you have not seen the first video, please go back to the first video so you can follow along. Right now we're following, just a quick recap. This is my manual chart here. Saul was the first king, David, then Solomon, then the kingdom split. Okay, I talked about division yesterday in my 3rd video. Here's another example of division that was not from God. Okay, here we go again. All right, so this is the northern kingdom that did not follow God. This is the southern kingdom under the Davidic line through which Messiah, Jesus, would come. And now we're following Hezekiah. So if you have not seen the videos, you want to go back and watch 1st and 2nd Chronicle videos that I did if you want more information on where we're at. But it's followed all of those kings, and now we're with King Hezekiah. And King Hezekiah had a heart because he was awesome. So chapters 30 and 31, or chapters 29 and 30, last time we covered Hezekiah taking over after his evil father Ahaz, who had destroyed everything, had done child worship with his own children to Moloch and stuff like that. He had been an evil king, destroyed the temple, brought in false worship, and now his son Hezekiah has taken over. And his son has the whole first 2 chapters of Hezekiah's reign was about preparing everything and doing the Passover, bringing in the northern kingdom to trying to unite where there's been division. He's trying to unite. He sent runners to the northern kingdom saying, please come back to and celebrate Passover with us. Come back to God. Your kingdom fell because of your rulers, because you turned from God. Come back to God, because there was always a remnant there, right? So the remnant that was there, he sent runners to. Now, many of them mocked, but a lot of them came. So they celebrated a beautiful Passover. It said that in the last time we were in 2nd Chronicles, said there had not been one like that since the time of Solomon. So now we're seeing chapter 31. Last video, that I just did 2 seconds ago. We saw him preparing the priesthood again, making sure that everything's in order. He set himself in order, made sure that he was offering everything that he was supposed to be offering to the priesthood and to God for the service of God. And then he called forth the people, saying all of the people bring in the tithes, bring in the offerings, so that the priests and the Levites can do their work. And the people did that. And so we left off where the priests they had an abundance, and they were sending out the abundance to all of the priests that were in throughout the land, so that not only were the ones doing the actual work right then and there getting served, because they rotated the service, right? They weren't, and it wasn't always the same people. People were rotated in, but they had such an abundance, they were sending out to the people, the priests in their cities that were not there at the moment doing the work, and providing for them, which is how it was supposed to be, right? And so it says, and so then it mentioned that anyone even from 3 years old, and so I was just mentioning how we saw that in the book of Samuel, how when Samuel was only 3 years old, he was a little Padawan. He became a priest to God, and so his story is awesome. But anyways, it's describing here, and you see that in the story of Samuel, how he was just a very young baby when his mother brought him to the temple, and he began his work to learn how to serve God. So then it says, verse 19. We left off on 18, so we're in verse 19, chapter 31. Also for the sons of Aaron, the priests who were in the fields of the common lands of their cities, in every single city there were men who were designated by name to distribute portions to all the males among the priests and to all who were listed by genealogies among the Levites. Thus Hezekiah did throughout all Judah, and he did what was good and right and true before the Lord his God. And in every work that he began in the service of the house of God, in the law and in the commandment to seek his God, he did it with all his heart, so he prospered. So that's an awesome ending to chapter 31. So he's doing great, right? So now we're in chapter 32. After these deeds of faithfulness, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered Judah. He encamped against the fortified cities, thinking to win them over to himself. And when Hezekiah saw that Sennacherib had come and that his purpose was to make war against Jerusalem, he consulted with his leaders and commanders to stop the water from the springs which were outside the city, and they helped him. So this whole story here now that we're seeing of Sennacherib coming against Israel, we saw in the book of Isaiah, when we were in our Isaiah study just a couple days ago, that Isaiah had come against Hezekiah, or, he proclaimed to him, you must rely on the Lord. Do not be fearful of him. Do not go down to Egypt for help. Do not look for anyone for help, but look to the Lord. So that's what Isaiah, because remember Isaiah is here. Let me show you on this map. So so the northern kingdom has already fallen. Here is Hezekiah down here. And here is Isaiah. So, and down here you can see the rise of the Assyrian Empire prior to Babylon taking over. So Isaiah had told him, wait and rely on God. So during that time, it was believed that part of the prophecy of Isaiah, it talks about the counselors being all upset. And so it's believed that the counselors from King Hezekiah there had been a treaty between Assyria and the southern kingdom, between Judah. And somehow Assyria decided they were going to break that. So all of this was a surprise. This wasn't like they'd been an ongoing enemy of the southern kingdom. They had been involved in the destruction of the northern kingdom and had been harassing them. But now, for some reason, there had been a turn. And this was, from what the commentaries said about the chapters in Isaiah addressing this situation, it seemed like this might have been unexpected. Like Assyria had turned and broken their treaty. So now what you see here is you see Hezekiah blocking up springs of water. So he sees that he's in trouble. He sees that this guy is coming against him and he's got to do something, right? What was really interesting in the study Bible, I wanted to read this to you because I've seen on TikTok people saying there's no archaeological evidence for this stuff. So I've never been to Israel, but I know that there's a place in Israel where you can see where it actually has an inscription that dates back to the time of Hezekiah, where it shows where he diverted the water, and it's actually written on the area that he did this big tunnel to divert the water. There's actual archaeological evidence from this time frame showing that, some kind of an inscription. Also, in when it talks about, we're going to see about the siege of Lachish here. My study Bible says both the Old Testament and Assyrian inscriptions, so Assyrian inscriptions which they found archaeologically, document the siege of Lachish, an important fortified city west of Jerusalem and near the great coastal route. Its capture by Assyria would cut off access to Jerusalem from the west and would give Assyria control of the coast. So the people that say that you can't trust any of this stuff, there's so much archaeological evidence, okay, but I don't want to get into that. Okay, so here we see that, so Assyria is coming, and so he's going to start fortifying the city, right? He's going to start doing things to protect his people from Assyria. So he consulted with his leaders and commanders to stop the water from the springs which were outside the city, and they helped him. So everybody's united. Thus many people gathered together who stopped all the springs and the brook that ran through the land, saying, why should the kings of Assyria come and find much water? And he strengthened himself, built up all the wall that was broken, raised it up to the towers, and built another wall outside. Also he repaired the Millo in the city of David and made weapons and shields in abundance. Then he set military captains over the people, gathered them together to him in the open square of the city gate, and gave them encouragement, saying, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid nor dismayed before the king of Assyria, nor before all the multitude that is with him. For there are more with us than with him. With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is the Lord our God to help us and fight our battles. And the people were strengthened by the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. Now that is freaking awesome. So that is referring back to, if you have not studied 2 Kings. So 2 Kings is another version of, 1st and 2nd Kings is another version of 1st and 2nd Chronicles. It just goes into a little bit more detail and has a different perspective. So he's referring back there. Now let me find what he's referring to there. I'm going to run out of time. So he's referring back there to Elijah, or Elisha. So see back here, here's Elijah, and here's Elisha, right? So Elisha worked under an evil king, and it was Ahab. Remember, Ahab was a really evil king, and he had a son named Joram that he also called Jehoram. Well, Elisha was prophesying and doing prophetic work under him. And the circumstances that he's referring there to is back in 2 Kings chapter 6. And what's going on there is the king of Assyria is attacking them. And I'm going to do another video, and then I'm going to finish the story. So stay tuned for video number 3. The story's awesome, okay? So read your Bible. If you don't see number 3, go back to number 1. Jesus is coming. Peace.